What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, my loves. Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious Dr. Anthony, and we have an amazing show lined up for you tonight. My beautiful co-host, Ida B, will be about 10 minutes late, and she would join us later in the show. But for now, it will be Mark Lee, my wonderful producer, and I discussing some amazing topics. So make sure you tune in, click like, and share, and let's get this ball rolling. Come on out, Mark.
Glad to stop in. Glad to get the ball rolling with you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing better than my schoolmate because he got ousted big time in the game yesterday. It was not pretty watching the Philadelphia 76ers just get completely demolished by Boston, despite having the player of the year and all in that space. So they did have Joel Embiid, and he was definitely the player of the year, but he just got totally manhandled by Jason Tatum and that whole team. And now folks are trying to figure out if Doc got a job or not. But like I said, we went to school at Marquette and all in that space. So a lot of people are wondering, but he did have a nice lucrative contract and still has 2 years left on the contract. I think it's like $8 million a year or something. So those Benjamins may be too much for them to let him go, or they may just decide to buy him out and try to move in another direction. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in that space. But speaking of that space, and I know that you oftentimes will deal with social media and all in those lines, at what point do you just stop waving a gun around? Because apparently John Morant is in trouble again because he was hanging out with his boys and decided to wave a gun around. And I'm going like,
but my thing is, okay, but he didn't shoot anybody. He's waving a gun. Isn't his Second Amendment right is to possess a firearm? The white people be on TV and social media waving guns and taking pictures with guns and allowing their children to take pictures with guns. So I don't understand the hypocrisy behind him being able to have a gun and him waving his gun or whatever. Isn't it basically the same thing? That, what's his name? Kyle Rittenhouse was driven to the place where he killed all those people by his mother, and she bought him somebody bought him an AK AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, and he ended up murdering people. So he was just on social media with a gun. So what is the issue? You're not that up in arms when all these white boys are out there committing these mass murders and these mass shootings. You say nothing, but because it's a young black man and he owns a gun, and because he's on social media waving a gun around, he's suspended from his job. It's a problem. But in other capacities, when they do it, it's not an issue. It's their Second Amendment right. So where's his Second Amendment rights? Now you're infringing upon his Second Amendment rights. So I have a problem with it. I definitely have a problem with it.
I hear that. And, speaking of shootings, there was somebody that walked into an area around Buffalo and shot folks, and they were actually having a memorial around that incident because it was a year ago today that happened and everything, and they were definitely taking heed of what happened. And I want to say that it was some white folks that went in there, and there was probably some racism involved in that particular incident. So I did see that the folks that are in politics there were using this as an opportunity to talk about guns and other issues at that particular time over the weekend and all along those lines. So I didn't know if you had any.
Well, of course they're going to talk about guns because it's a young black male that's possessing the gun. But you said nothing when Columbine happened. You said nothing when Miami happened. You said nothing when Uvalde, Texas happened. You said nothing when all of these other people of other races and nationality came out with these mass shootings. You said nothing. But the second a black man is on social media waving a gun, oh my God, God forbid. We can't allow him to have that gun. He has to be reprimanded. He has to be this. But the other folks who look like this can do whatever and have whatever and nothing to say it. Make it make sense. That's all I'm saying is make it make sense.
I wish I could make it make sense, but thinking of things that can make sense and cannot make sense, I was going to bring up that we're going to go to the video again. I said I was going to find the video, but there was a whole conversation around, sometimes the sisters and the brothers get into a conversation as to what's going on and why one group doesn't understand the other group and why this is going all in their spaces. And one of the videos I saw actually addressed that and whether men can cry, whether they can be sensitive, and all along those lines. So if it's okay with you, we're going to go to the video and we'll hear your reaction to said video about relationships and how the media can play on this. So let's roll the video.
I always talk to black women, they don't want to talk to me. The minute I talk to a white woman, they get mad. You want to think you're mad? I'm mad too. There's a lot of anger inside of me. What about us? Black women talk about me. What about us black men? We go through stuff too. We're tired of hearing the same thing of, oh, we're independent women. We're independent this, we're independent that. I'm independent too. We have a lot in common. You have this imaginary wall around you. I don't know who damaged you. And me being a black man, I have to suffer for what somebody did to you? That has nothing to do with me. I'm not the enemy. I get that a lot from black women, that we're the enemy, we're liars, cheaters, we're dogs. Diary of a Mad Black Man. I have a journal I keep. And then when I show this side to women, they think it's a weakness. It's not a weakness, it's actually a strength. But then when I show this to you, to black women, you don't know how to receive it.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to being abused. It makes it hard for me to get to know this.
Black women look at me and say, I can tell you don't like us. I'm like, what? I don't like you? I love you, but I can't help it if I learn 20 instruments. I can't help it if I play flute, walk barefooted on the beach. And I'm from South Central. I was amazed at you.
Oh, that was the sensitive side of the brothers and everything. So what was your reaction? What is your thought? Is there need to be some conversation that allows some of this narrative to not take place the way that the narrative is put out there?
Well, I mean, it's to each his own. And, every incident is an isolated incident because, every woman is not the same. Every man is not the same. But what I've been seeing a lot of is a lot of, black women bashing or whatever. Right. And, it's like, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. You put us in a position of, being a baby mama. You put us in a position of not being able to be sensitive and show you that sensitive side. And, you place unrealistic expectations on black women and, that you don't place on, other women. And that to me is like insane. You want us to, always be well together, put together mentally. We can't, have emotional breakdowns. We can't experience this. We can't experience that. And then yet you say that, it's a problem because, black women feel that black men don't want them, but that's the reality of it. If you look at social media, I haven't seen a whole lot of black men defend black women and come to the aid of black women. All I've seen is, like black men bashing black women. And it's not the fact that, we don't think that they're not worthy of our love. We do think that they're worthy of our love. And most black women want a black man. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, they don't want us until, it's time for them to need us. And, when I say need us, for example, when the young man who was on social media talking about, how he doesn't like black women and black women can't do anything for him, young African guy or whatever, his white woman killed him in Miami. Then his family was like, black women, we need y'all to rally for him. No, we're not rallying for him because he made it plainly clear that he had nothing for us. So, I mean, I get it. It's twofold or whatever. It's not that, we have, okay, I'm gonna just put it like this. Some people may have their guards up and it's only to protect, to protect the heart. Some people may not. But at the same time, it's about conversation and it's about understanding the person that you're with. Because if you can't communicate with that person and you can't understand the person that you're with, no matter what you do, you're going to clash. And I tell people all the time, communication is key within any relationship. I don't, I've been hurt by a black man before. I've been hurt by, several black men before, but that's still not going to stop me from, giving another black man a try, and it's not going to, make me hold against them what somebody else did to me. I'm not going to do that, but that's just me personally. But, I like to get to the nitty gritty of things, and I like to have conversations around, who I'm talking to, who I'm dealing with, but that's just me, and everybody is not the same. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's about understanding the person that you're dealing with. And if there's no understanding, and if you're just, butting heads and talking at each other, it's not going to be a level of understanding. But, it's twofold. Black women are tired of, like I said, all I see on social media is black women bashing. That's all I see on social media. I do see every now and then, I do see, some black men saying, hey, black woman, I love you, this, that, and the other. But what black men have failed to realize is we understand that you have feelings. We go to bat for you all the time, but y'all don't go to bat for us, and it's like, even when, our men are gunned down in the street, who's standing there beside you? Who's fighting for you? It's black women that's fighting for you. You know what I'm saying? And then and like I said, it's about understanding. You have placed us in a position where we had to come out strong, and we had to come out and, be independent. I'm extremely independent, but I'm also submissive. You know what I'm saying? I'm very independent in, certain capacities, but I'm also submissive in certain capacities. You can have both. It's not just a one-sided type situation. It's levels to this. It's different, it's different times and different spaces and different, capacities that we have to be many things. And even as an educator, I wear many different hats. I'm different things to different people, and I'm different things to different children. So it's like that in the aspect of, a relationship. Sometimes, yes, I have to step up and be that dominant person. Then other times I have to step back and be that docile woman. So it just depends. So you just can't say, oh, I want my woman this way, because no woman is one way. We're all different type of way. We all have different, personalities. We all have different moods. We all have, different things that we go through. And I tell people all the time, I'm extremely moody. So depending on the day, the time, the second, the hour, you may get a totally crazy different person. Then again, you may get somebody who's humorous, who's, that comedian, who's laughing, who's playful, who's jovial. You may get all those in two different segments, but it just depends. And like I said, it's about, understanding the person that you're dealing with, because you're not going to have the same person every day. I try to be consistent. I try to be the same person every day, but the mood swings, what happens in the workplace, all those things take an effect and take a toll on what we bring home. And for me, I'm more I'm more attracted to intelligence than anything. So I'm about the conversation piece. So I like to be able to talk to the person that I'm dealing with, when I've had a stressful day, and explain, what I've been going through, and explain, how I'm feeling, and, listen to him, and, understand what he's going through and things like that or whatever. So it's not to me, it's not that we can't get to that point, but when you're only talking at a person, you're not going to get to that point. We were out eating yesterday, and my cousin made a comment. He was like, I've been here before. I saw this guy. I recognized his truck. He drives a yellow Hummer, and he was outside, and he was like basically telling his woman, bitch, you belong to me. You better ask me permission before you can go anywhere. You can do anything. I'm like, wait.
No, they don't need that. You can't have that kind of attitude.
Right, but the thing is, a lot of people perceive a relationship in that capacity. And my statement was, he wouldn't be able to talk to me like that. Because one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to ask a grown-ass person, because I'm a grown-ass person, can I go somewhere? I didn't even ask my parents, can I go somewhere? I was basically, I'm going to go here and I'll be back. So I'm not going to do that in a relationship. But out of respect for you, I'll tell you, hey, I'm about to go here. I'm going to hang out with so-and-so. I'm going to do this. I'll be back at this time, blase, blase. But will I ask you for permission to go somewhere? Hell no. What the hell they do that at? You know what I'm saying? That's just not me.
No, I definitely agree with you on that. But,
and the thing about, huh?
Well, Dr. Anthony, one of the things I was curious about, and the gentleman kind of alluded to it, that first gentleman and everything, is there a, because I'm talking about it in the sense of religion in an earlier show, and I definitely think there's a double-edged sword in the way that men and women are treated by a lot of our church institutions. But there's a double-edged sword on the flip side of that, in the whole sensitivity conversation, because I do know some guys that will put on a air of fake masculinity. Not saying that they don't have some masculinity, but I think we all have a masculine and a feminine side if we are true to ourselves and true to who we are as individuals. But is the sensitive side allowed to be to flourish as much by the men, or are there some women, not saying you because you're an educated woman, but are there some women that are intimidated or afraid of a quote unquote sensitive man?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's to each his own. It just depends on the person. I mean, because if I'm dealing with a person, I want to know every capacity. I want to know everything about that person. I want to know you're good, you're bad. I want to know you're evil. I want to know, whatever. I want to see your sensitive side. If you cry, I cry. If you hurt, I hurt. You know what I'm saying? And that goes back to the maturation level of each individual. You know what I'm saying? And it also plays on the mindset, because a lot of times, you'll hear some people say that, oh, I don't want nobody to cry. I don't want nobody to do this. I want a roughneck. I want this. I mean, if you're in a relationship, you have to accept the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else in between. And like I said, it all boils down to the maturity level of the person. I mean, at the end of the day, when the beauty is gone and, the wrinkles are there and everything fades, you have to be able to communicate with one another. And so, knowing your partner and, knowing what makes them tick and, knowing what, irritates them, or, when they're hurting, you know that they're hurting, and, you cry with your partner, that's about, building your relationship, and that's about bonding, and that's about being equally yoked. And a lot of times people, and I've said this before, a lot of times people are not equally yoked, and people don't understand that you have to be in tune with the person that you're dealing with. It's about the chemistry. It's not necessarily about the physical attraction. It's just about, all the other stuff that, makes a relationship and make, somebody wants to deal with you. And if you're not ready to accept that person for who they are, then you need to leave that person alone. And, I tell people all the time, if you're broken and you're not ready for a relationship, then just say that, you know what I'm saying? Just be like, hey, I just want to be friends. I want to just communicate. I want to do this. I want to do that. But, oftentimes we have people who are trying to move on from relationships, and they're using other relationships to try to cope and, use that as a healing strategy. And it's not going to work until you are completely
Hold on a second, Doctor. Anthony. I got to teach you about something you just said, because I can't tell you how often that I have had friends that are definitely some dear friends, and some folks that I consider to be some very wonderful people and everything. But sometimes that can be a little bit of a cop out and all in that space. And I'm not saying in your case it is, and I'm not saying it is with everybody, but there are sometimes that people are too quick to put their folks in the quote unquote friend box. And I think that sometimes is where people miss, you heard the expression, miss your blessings. Sometimes people might miss their relationship blessings, because there is, and this is on both men and women, there is some hurt that has gone on and some healing that needs to go on, and they are too afraid to step into the relationship, or they're too afraid to have the purpose of the relationship, so then they get into that quote unquote friend box. And I'm not saying that the friend box isn't real, and there are some people that are maybe even your soulmates, but they are your friend soulmates, because soulmates don't always have to be relationship soulmates. They can also be friends and other types of relationships that we have in our life. But I, as one that has been stuck in that box a couple of times, it's not always the box you want to be in. So I'm just letting you know that.
I mean, I understand that. I get it. But at the same time, you're growing as a person, you're growing in friendship, because you got to be friends. Because when you're angry, and when you want to just go upside somebody's head, at the end of the day, you got to be like, let me scale it back, let me think about this, let me talk to him, or let me talk to her, and let's have a conversation at the end of the day, because you have to be friends. You got to be friends. But it just where you want that friendship to go. You know what I'm saying? Do you want, the friendship to remain platonic, or do you want it to, increase into, like relationship status? I mean, because
I got a couple of more videos for you, and some of that is some things that I think you'll find interesting. So I'm going to get to one of the videos because it's a shared screen, and the other one is the old-fashioned way of doing videos. But there are people that are in the community that sometimes people are shocked that they have become the spokesperson for the community as well. So if it's all right with you, we're
Go
going
ahead,
to
roll
do
the
a
video,
share
and I'll
screen, and we're
give
going
my
to play the
commentary.
video. And when you see who is presenting their video, this might interest you as well, because this particular person is talking about why they are speaking up for the sisters and all along those lines. And yes, this is none other than Megan Thee Stallion. So let's hear why she's saying she's speaking up for Black women.
Roll the video.
See, we got some volume issues going on.
I'm looking for the dance.
Upstairs.
Thank you.
Are we good?
Well, hold on a second. I'm trying to see. Yeah, hold on. I think that there was no volume on that particular video, but I think the imagery will work as well. So I'm going to put it on the imagery, and I was trying to see what was going on with the volume, but I think the imagery will work just as well. So if you hold on 1 second, there is not as much on the volume side, and that's what I was trying to figure out. But definitely, I'm still going to bring it up, and we can still get the message even without the video, because the imagery itself, I think, explains a lot.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, there's
So
some folks
when
out
you're
there. I'll try to find the volume version. Then there's some people that will say that she is overly sexualized, but I think that what the message is that these are conversations that need to be had, and definitely we can talk about all the aspects, because there were even some of the aspects of the negative part that goes on in our relationships as well. So that's one of those things that I was curious about. But then there's this video, and I know this video has got volume, so we're going to roll the video, because this particular sister, who is a advocate of a lot of things, is talking about the 3 ways that America has waged war on African American romance, and particularly African American marriages. So let's check out this video, and then I'll come back to you and see what your thoughts are about what this particular lady is talking about and some of the imagery around Megan. But go to the video.
We often examine episodes of terror and oppression in African American history. But what can we learn when we explore slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow segregation, and the modern-day policies of welfare and mass incarceration for their impact on Black love and marriage? Among the systemic impediments to enduring Black relationships are 3 unmistakable culprits: inherited poverty and wealthlessness, the idealization of the patriarchal nuclear family, and Eurocentric standards of beauty. These obstacles, in fact, explain the astonishingly low marriage rates among Black women from all walks of life in America today. More than 70% of Black women are unmarried, and for the millions who prefer to be coupled, especially with Black men, their single status is not a reflection of personal failure. Forbidden Black love is America's unrecognized civil rights issue. America's founding fathers had the wisdom to envision both material and immaterial benefits of citizenship, but American society was constructed to deny one of the most important facets of these tenets to millions of Black women: the pursuit of happiness through love and marriage. And putting this problem into perspective allows us to see just how entangled Black romantic relationships are with racial politics in America, and just how much Black love matters to the health and future of our nation.
Hachette.
So what was your thoughts about the connection between the systematic ways that the institutions have been out there and how they have impacted the way and the attitudes of men and women, particularly in our culture, toward each other's?
I mean, I think that's just one capacity and one aspect of it, but she brings, a different perspective. It has been stated before. Dr. Umar has basically stated this, not in those words, but he has alluded to it. The construct of the nuclear family when it comes to, black men, Black women, dog, child, 2.5, however you want to say it. But even then, if we want to go back historically, back in the 1800s, whenever, the Black man was free, they had to basically force Black men to marry Black women, because when they became free, they wanted to go after the white woman. And so I want to say it was like 1800s or something like that. They had to put a law on the books for Black men to, basically engage and want to marry Black women. They had to make it a law. So it's not anything that's new. It's just been carried on, and it's just happening in different ways of, Black men not wanting Black women. And it's not the fact that Black women doesn't want Black men, because we do want Black men. But at the end of the day, the Black man does not want us. And I was listening to social media last night, and a content creator was, basically saying that, Black men has, all these unrealistic expectations for Black women. But when it comes to, other demographics, they're little to none. So they want, damn near a perfect woman when it comes to a Black woman. But the expectations when they date outside their race, they're minimal, and they do not impose those, certain expectations that they have on Black women on, women of other, races and nationalities, in which, I think is really comical, because, you want a Black woman who's damn near perfect, but then, somebody else come along, looking like a, backwoods stump jumper or whatever, and, she's perfectly fine. But when it comes to Black women, all the ducks has to be in a row. What are you bringing to the table? X, Y, and Z, da, 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 da. So they're imposing all these different unrealistic expectations, but they're not doing it to the other women, and they're not holding those women to the same, caliber and degree that they're holding Black women. So, it's a very interesting perspective, and, Black men can say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, we hold y'all down, but y'all don't hold us down.
Well, speaking of which, and this is the thing that I said I was going to bring up earlier, there is a person involved in one of the fisticuff actions. I think he's a boxer, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And he was dating a brother. He was dating what some people would consider a snow bunny or something along those lines. And now there's a whole nature of going to court. And apparently she's saying that she wants half of his estate because of what she had to deal with in terms of helping to build up his career and all along these lines. And I guess the question that I've got is, I get it if you've been married and y'all have built a life and a family together. So I get the whole notion of half and all of that if you have spent a significant amount of time together. But it doesn't seem like they had a long relationship, and she was the girlfriend, not the wife. So how far do we go in this whole notion of shared property, shared custody, and shared value, since this particular young lady is wanting to get a nice little bit of change for basically being the other half, or maybe even the bed partner of this particular boxer and everything. So how far do we allow folks to go in this notion of half? So as an educator, what is some of your thoughts in that notion? Because I'm going like, wait a minute, you weren't even the wifey, you were literally the girlfriend, and it didn't seem like it was a long-standing relationship. It might have been for a year or two, but now you want to go after half. So it seems like a
Well, she doesn't have any grounds. To me, she doesn't have any grounds to stand on. But hell, we've seen stranger things. White women will lie on black men all day, every day, or whatever. And to the life of me, I still don't understand why the hell they want to deal with them. But that's the here and there. Separate conversation for a different show. But to me, she has no leg to stand on. You knew what you were getting into. You knew what you signed up for. So, legally, as far as money is concerned, he doesn't owe you not one red cent, not one iota. Do I feel sorry for him? Hell no, because that's what you chose. That's what you want. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, I am not an attorney, but these are just my personal opinions. She is not entitled to anything, and that's just what it is. Or whatever, you were the girlfriend. You knew you were the girlfriend. If you chose upon yourself and take it upon yourself to produce and do wifely duties and do wifely stuff, that was on you. That was on your volition and nobody else's. But like I said, stranger things has happened. But to me, she's not entitled to anything.
I agree. Stranger things have happened. Like I said, I'm still trying to find that full video with the audio. But what is your thoughts when people are overly concerned about the over sexualization of Megan Stallion? And she's not the only one. There's some other ones out there as well. But what are your thoughts when people are maybe not listening to her as much on some of these issues? And I think that she has as much right as anybody else to state her opinion on issues and to be a voice for women of a variety of ages and a variety of styles and everything. But there are some people who will be like, look, you're putting out some very demeaning images of your own and everything. So what are your thoughts when people are trying to attack Megan Thee Stallion for the imagery that she presents? I mean, they don't say anything when the guys grab their crotch, but she grabs her crotch, and people that have a practical hissy fit. And I'm not saying everybody does, but some people have a hissy fit, and I'm going like half the rappers do that on a regular basis, the male rappers that is. But it does seem a double standard. But I'd love to hear your thoughts.
There's always a double standard when it comes to women. You know what I'm saying? So, to Megan, to each his own. Do you, be you, and be who you are, and live it and embrace it. I don't have a problem with what she's doing. And my thing is, why should anybody else? If you don't like her music, don't listen to it. Prime example, Millie Jackson never advertised her music, but she was one of the most prolific singers in her time with the type of music that she put out. And if you don't know who Millie Jackson is, then you don't need to know who Millie Jackson is. Her music wasn't for you. And the same thing with Megan Thee Stallion. If you have a problem with what she's doing and what she's putting out, it's not for you. Everything is not for everybody. So, you have to stay in your lane and, move how you move and do what you do. But, like I said, Megan Thee Stallion, she's comfortable within her own skin. If that's what you want to do it, because I saw on social media, somebody was saying something about, why women, singing, why she's singing this and this is that and other. And they was like, would you let your daughter listen to it? Why would she let her daughter listen to it? You know what I'm saying? Her daughter is a minor. Why would she let her daughter listen to it? And at the end of the day, people can't control what their children listen to anyway. If they have cell phones and on social media, they're already exploring different options. They're already exploring different things. And you think you have control, but you don't, because the children are, doing everything under the sun, under your nose, and you have no idea what they're doing. But, like I said, to each his own. Everything is not for everybody. Megan Thee Stallion music is not for you. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. Don't buy her stuff, But everybody always wants to, state their opinion and put their opinion out there. Oh, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. I remember when I was a young teacher, young educator, first starting off, I was working in a parish in Louisiana, and my father has a church, one of the largest churches in that particular parish. And so one of the people in the community was a colleague, and she was like, "Why are you talking to her?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "We're friends. We've been friends since childhood." She was like, "You don't need to be talking to her because of what she do." Okay, the key words are what she does, not what I do. Just because I talk to a person does not mean that I'm going to go out and do what they're doing. That's on them. That has nothing to do with me, but it still does not stop my friendship with her. And I was like, and I told her, I was like, that has nothing to do with me. I'm not doing it. So, I don't understand what the issue is, but they were trying to make it an issue because my mom is a minister. And
but that's because some people associate folks with their friend circle, and I agree with you. Just because a friend person in your friend circle does something, I mean, I got friends that do certain drugs. I got friends that do certain things that I may not be interested in or want to do. Shucks, I got friends I've mentioned on this show. I got at least 2 friends that are involved in polygamy, and I even have some friends in the swinger community. That doesn't mean that I necessarily want to jump in either one of those bags or anything along those lines. But like you just said, you do you, and I'll do me, and they're all in that space. But definitely that doesn't mean that we can't be friends and agree on other things that are part of the different lifestyles. And the fact that you got multiple partners, that's on you. And if you can manage multiple partners, that's even more on you. I have a hard enough time trying to manage one relationship at a time. So how you manage multiple relationships, you got to have some serious skill sets in terms of, if nothing else, communication and responsibility. But that's just my thoughts on that because, like I said, it's hard enough dealing with one significant other, much less trying to deal with 5 or 6, which is what some of them do. But hey, they might think that it's not that normal to be in one, because there are certain parts of nature that it is common for there to be multiple partners and all in that, and parts of the world where it's common to be multiple partners, just like there are certain parts of the world that are more matriarchal than the patriarchal nature of what we have going on in here. There are definitely not a lot of places in the world, but there are a few places in the world that are kind of more in the Wonder Woman, Amazon kind of aspect, where the women are more in control and more in the leadership roles. And in some cases, they say that those are even better societies. Not having lived in one, I can't make a judgment because I haven't lived in one, because unfortunately, the United States is very patriarchal and white patriarchal at that.
I mean, like I said, to each his own. Everything is not for everybody. If you don't like her music, you don't like her, then that's on you. That's your personal opinion. It's an isolated incident. She's not worried about if you like her or not. If she's not worried about if you support her music or not. And for her standing up for Black women, she's a Black woman, so she understands. She understands.
And speaking of which, hold on. Speaking of which, we have the volume. I did get the volume fixed while I was waiting and everything. So we're actually going to hear Megan Thee Stallion in her own words. So we do have the volume working this time. So if you're ready, we're gonna roll the tape and hear her in her own words.
Roll it. You got it working?
Oh, hold on.
Nope. Always loving the wrong one. Twerking for her man, but not with her friends. Being constantly told she's too much or not enough.
Back to the beginning. I was informed that we didn't have the beginning going on. So let's go to the beginning.
What does it mean to be a woman of color?
Every Black woman angry about something.
She's got to be strong because that's just the expectation. Loving herself, but not too much, because then she's conceited. Being his lady in the streets, but his freak in the sheets. Inheriting her grandma's love, but always loving the wrong one. Twerking for her man, but not with her friends. Being constantly told she's too much or not enough.
The most disrespected person is the Black woman.
Constantly having to prove she's a victim because society sides with a man. Not being able to express her traumas because she can't show no weakness. Is constantly told that she's too dark, too thin, too thick, too much of a bitch. Being murdered, beaten, abused, then questioned if she evoked all of it. Is left out on the street, but becomes the flower that grows from the concrete.
Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
She marches for everyone else, riots for everyone else, dies for everyone else. She loves everyone else, lives for everyone else. But when it comes down to her, it ain't a mother in sight.
The system as a whole has failed her.
You've never been shot. You don't know her pain.
Say her name.
18 women of color.
Murder.
Well, I guess that really put it down there, and she gave you an idea of what she thought, and a lot of that is very, very factual. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, because definitely she is right there. A lot of clowns marching in the streets for other folks' rights and not even protecting their own rights. And there are a couple of other things that she brought up as well. But what is your assessment of that particular word that we're trying to get on this particular show, and how we've got those words in there? So that was what was saying by none other than Megan Thee Stallion.
I mean, everything that she said is the absolute truth. I mean, I basically just stated it just in a different way. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody wants to be black until it's time to be black. Everybody wants to copy the black woman, but nobody wants to stand up and defend the black woman. We're trendsetters. We're you know, all of those things. We're the blueprint. We lead in every capacity. But again, nobody wants to defend us when it's time to defend us. It's all hee hee ha ha and funny games when the joke is on black women. But the second that the tables are turned and black women stand up for themselves, or they you know, disagree with a white woman or somebody of a different hue or different, you know, nationality, then the black woman is, you know, aggressive. She's loud. She's angry. She's this. She's that. You know, we don't get a chance to show our emotions. We don't get a chance to show our feminine side. We don't get a chance to be sensitive. We just don't get that luxury. And, you know, it goes back to, you know, the men, you know, you judge us based off of what society says that we are, instead of coming to us having conversations. I mean, in certain capacities, we are those things. In other capacities, we are docile. We are feminine. We're this, but you have to be the man to unlock those truths and unlock those levels. And if you're not the man, then she's not for you. And you have to understand that just because you talk to a woman does not mean that's your woman. And real people will understand what I'm saying, you know, and the fact of, you know, how men, they don't handle rejection well. And then they come back and kill a woman. They come back and, you know, do something because your feelings are hurt, because you were rejected. You wasn't taught how to process and handle your feelings. But we women have to tiptoe around how you feel and what you think, because you don't know how to handle yourself. That's just like they'll say, well, what did the woman have on? She was raped. What did she have on? What was she wearing? Why does it matter what she was wearing? She can wear anything that she wants. The question is, why wasn't that man able to control his feelings? Why wasn't that man able to control his rage? Why wasn't that man able to control his sexual, you know, preferences and his sexual desires toward that woman? Why wasn't he able to do that? But no, you victim blame and you victim shame. And it's the same thing. You know, we don't get those luxuries as black women. We're always told how we're supposed to feel. We're always told how we're supposed to look. We're always told what we're supposed to do. And, you know, hands down, we're just tired of it and we're not taking it anymore. And so the thing with, you know, like black men, we have preferences of what we want and how we want to be treated, but they have a problem with it because we're not, you know, accepting that mediocre bullshit that they're spewing and the mediocre things that they're saying, and we're holding them accountable. So now we're loud, we're aggressive, we're this. We've always been that. Do you not like your mama? Do you not like your aunts? Do you not like your sisters? Do you not like your cousins? Because we're all one and the same.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. Definitely. I know there's some strong women in my life and everything, but we're going to have a little bit of fun here because I mentioned it earlier. And like we said, we like to tackle difficult issues and difficult things and all along those lines. So since I brought it up earlier and we hadn't got to this one, but it is apparently a growing population in the Black community and in other communities as well. But some people are saying that there's a difference between this lifestyle and also just those that are curious and those that are actually living a lifestyle. So apparently there's a difference between a lifestyle and a swinger. And I think that there's a sister that actually did a video about it. So we'll watch the video and then we'll see your reaction to the video and what you say about it. So you ready to roll the tape? Let's roll the tape.
What's the difference between swingers and a lifestyler? There's a big difference between the two. So swingers are a couple who like to swap partners, okay? So they have this thing called full swap and soft swap. Soft swap is basically no penetration is happening, right? From the male is not penetrating and the female is not doing any type of penetrating other people. But there's soft swapping, which really doesn't really happen that much anymore. They also call people who only deal with females soft swap. So at least in the Black swinger lifestyle, that is how we categorize soft and full swap. So if you're full swap, that means that the wife and the husband partake in sleeping with other partners, okay? Like the female can and is allowed to play with other men, and the male is allowed to play with other females. Or they play together in group settings with other couples, vice versa, okay? A lifestyler is someone who could be single and they enjoy the swinger lifestyle environment, like me. I've been a couple and a single in this lifestyle, but I consider myself to be a lifestyler, not a swinger, because I don't have a partner to swing with, if that makes sense, right? So I consider myself a lifestyler because if I were to get into a relationship, then I would want to, of course, full swap, as I would want to be a swinger. So I go to swinger parties, I go to swinger events, I go to swinger hotel takeovers, and I also go to swinger clubs. All right, so I am a lifestyler, and that's what I call myself, is a lifestyler. So that is the main difference between the two of those. Also, I wanted to explain what a swingle is. I am also considered a swingle because I am single and I am looking for another partner who wants to be a swinger. So that makes me a swingle, which is another difference between just a regular single who enjoys being in the lifestyle as a lifestyler and a swingle, because there are some singles out here who, once they connect with another single person and become a couple, they actually exit the lifestyle and they go back to a vanilla relationship, and it's just them two. So swingle is more of a mindset that, hey, I'm looking for a relationship and I'm looking to partner up with someone and also enjoy the swinger lifestyle together as a couple. That would be a swingle. If you ever see that term used, that is what a swingle is. Okay?
So now we got some knowledge about the swinger community, and like I said, I understand that it is a growing community and a growing community around the nation in a lot of different ways, including in our own community, the African American communities. And sometimes there are folks that even do it in that whole undercover kind of way. And I do know that it is some places that are very popular in that community. Chuck, there's swingers even here in North Carolina, but I know DC's got an active swinger community, Florida's got an active swinger community, California, and a number of other places as well. So I just wonder your thoughts as to this growing part of the population, because it does seem like it's been growing more than it has been in the years past. I don't know if part of that is the boredom of the pandemic or what was going on, but I was just wondering, as a psychologist and one that teaches, your thoughts around that aspect of a lifestyle.
It's a lot to unpack. I mean, like I said, to each his own, whatever makes your boat float. I don't have anything to do with it because, I don't really talk on people's sexuality and what they got going on because, that's them. I mean, I don't know because, I'm not into it. So it's it's just what they want, just what they want to do. If that's the lifestyle that you want to live, more power to it. I'm not going to hate you, or I'm not going to try to pass judgment on you because that's what you choose to do. It's just what you choose to do. And that's just the bottom line to it. I don't really have a whole lot of commentary on it because, like I said, I don't really, keep up with it, and I don't read about it. I don't research it or, anything like that. So, hey, it is what it is. Whatever makes your boat float.
It is what it is, but like I said, I was just surprised because I was doing, this was before the pandemic, and I saw that it was a growing part of the population. I'm going, like, are folks that, boy, that they are looking for other means to have enjoyment. And like I said, I think it's hard enough with a single relationship and making that single relationship work, as you have alluded to, and I in the past has alluded to. So I don't know how you manage to make it work with multiple partners, whether it's a polygamous relationship or a swinger relationship. I'm going like that seems like a lot of work. And one of the things that I have oftentimes wondered, and this is where maybe some of your training comes in, is that a lot of times, and I think she even kind of alluded to it, they try to say that the emotion needs to be left out of it. But I'm like, isn't part of relationships emotion? So how can you really leave your feelings out? So isn't one partner going to be the more admired partner, for lack of a better term, than the other? And can you really leave those emotions out? I mean, I have a friend that used to say that they would bring a partner into our relationship, and I'm going like that may probably not going to work because we don't know what those emotions are going to be and how somebody may get in their feelings, to borrow a term that I know I've heard you use and other people use as well. So that's where I kind of wonder is how can you say that the feelings won't get involved when you're talking about two individuals? But that's just my thoughts, and I don't know whether you agree or disagree.
I mean, I don't agree and I don't disagree. And like I said, to each his own. I'm not sure, what the response is for that, because like I said, I have not researched it. I have not read about it. I haven't looked at any literature, going, in that range. So, I mean, I don't know, but like people say, even with heterosexual relationships, anytime you sleep with somebody, you have soul ties. So
Right.
I'm assuming, it's the same if you're swinging or you're doing whatever, you have, like soul ties, and it's like a transfer of energy. So I mean, in that capacity, I can see what you're saying, but just in other capacities, hey,
No, I
it's
got
whatever
you.
you want. You do you, I'm gonna do me. I'm not passing judgment. It's just what you want to do.
No, I totally agree with you. But the other thing that you have alluded to, and it's another one of those lifestyle choices, and I do know some people that have, for whatever reasons, decided that they want to do the Baskin Robbins attitude of relationships, meaning that they want to at least experience the different other parts of a culture. So you mentioned earlier the sisters, and even this lady that I put up the video mentioned that she was a sister in the swinger community. I don't know what her partners are. I didn't see another video that she did is her talking about the nature of that, but she did say she was part of a black swingers community. But I do know some people in general of all relationships that are like, they want to do the Baskin Robbins thing. So they want to get, some brown flavor, they want to get some red flavor, they want to get some white flavor, they want to get this flavor. I do have some friends of mine that have said they have an affinity for redheads, even though they are brothers and all in that space. So how much would you say that there is this desire by a lot of people to explore the various aspects of the menu that is out there? So I do know a lot of folks that are like, they're totally enthralled by the Latin culture or totally enthralled by the Indian culture because it is something different from their own culture, and therefore they want to sample, if I can use that Baskin Robbins analogy again.
I mean, like I said, to each his own, whatever makes your boat float. I mean, I can't, pass judgment on you because you want to, interact and engage with, people of different nationalities, different colors, and, things like that or whatever. It is what it is whatever you want. Who am I to pass judgment on you? I tell people, all the time, whatever you do is your business. Don't try to infringe it up on me. Don't, try to say, don't knock it till you try it. I'm not trying it. Whatever you do is your business or whatever. I don't even engage in the conversations with, people around, their sexuality and who they're sleeping with and, things like that. I just don't do it. But, like I said, to each his own. If that's what you want to do, and you're happy with it, it's your body at the end of the day. I can't control what you do.
But I gotta teach you though, Dr.
I know.
You're from Louisiana. Louisiana is like one of the most hodgepodge societies of all because it's got everybody from the French to the Cajun to a number of other folks in there as well. So, I mean, if you talk about a hodgepodge of cultures, we're talking about a serious hodgepodge in that whole area there.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But like I said, you never know what a person wants sexually unless you're dealing with that person and you're having conversations surrounding their sexuality and what they want. And I typically don't have conversations with people around their sexuality, what they're doing, who they're sleeping with, because I just feel like some things just need to not be said, and some things just need to not be brought up in general topics and general conversation. And that's just one of those things that just not need to be said and not need to be brought up in general topics and general conversations. Whatever you're doing, whatever you do to get your rocks off or whatever you want to call it, what it is. I mean, that's on you. That's between you and your maker, between you and your God, and who you pray to and your partner. It's not a Dr. Anthony thing. It's not a it's not a Mark thing. It's not an Ida thing. It's what you want and what pleases you at the end of the day. And thank you. I do. And it's just it's just what they do. So like I said, it's just certain topics, like sexuality, sex, and things like that. Politics, I try to just stay away from, because I'm not going to change what I think and who I am when it surrounds certain things. And that's just the bottom line.
I definitely agree with you, and that's something you do a great job of, is protecting your merits and protecting your morals and all along those lines. So I definitely appreciate it, and all in that space. And definitely we found some good videos. I know there were some other things we were going to get to as well, and apparently Dr. Miss Ida never made it, and we did not get the comic front, and I had no idea where this conversation was going to go. So I just kind of filled up some videos, and somehow we made it work, and all in that space. And I hope folks did thoroughly enjoyed it, and maybe they have some insights on what we were talking about. I'm going to turn it over to you for the closeout and all in that. But I enjoyed the conversation. I hope you did as well.
Of course, I always enjoy our conversation. Depending, because sometimes I go left, sometimes I go right, sometimes I stay just straight ahead. So it just depends, And like I said, it depends on those moods, because I'm very moody, and I have mood swings and the different personalities and all that good stuff. I do, and I let people know before they start talking to me. I explain all of this, so it's you're gonna have to deal with all of us in here. So the time and the clock on the wall said it's all, y'all. We want to thank you for tuning in to another great episode of the All Around. Check back, if you want to hear our hot topic discussions and things that we talk about. We try to keep it current, we try to keep it spicy, and we try to keep it good. If it's something that you would like for me to address, you can hit me up on any one of those social media outlets. You can respond directly here. You can go to YouTube. Make sure you click like, share, and get the word out that Dr. Anthony is bringing the real to the show, and keeping it real, and giving honest feedback and honest thought and honest opinion on different topics, but also sticking to my guns and staying my course and saying my truth. And so with that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another great episode of the All Around. Catch us here on Monday nights from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And thank you again for tuning in, and I appreciate you. Make sure you click like and share, and give somebody else an opportunity to enjoy the commentary. Put it on your social media and talk about the All Around. Thank you. Clock on the wall says that's all of you.
What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.